Hello, hello, testing one, two, three. Can y'all hear me? Let's. Yo, Starlia. Okay, here we go. That should do it. Can y'all hear me? Hello? Type yes if you can all hear me. Okay, good. Okay, I genuinely don't know what the fuck should I talk about. Not right now. This is just a test stream. Like, I just want to, test again if if the stream is working or not. Sure, let's check it. Which one is it? Is this the one? Is Saitama of incapable of perceiving a bit lower? Okay, the one with the blast and Sonic. Okay, this one I think. Isn't this the one? Yo, the average. Meluhan, I'm just gonna call you Meluhan. Is this the one? I have Saitama from multi-galaxy to even Universal Plus. If you don't wanna agree with the dimensional slash, then yeah, I have Saitama at multi-galaxy level. But if you agree with the dimensional slash being fourth dimensional, then yeah, he can be Universal Plus. Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, which one is it? I genuinely can't tell. Like, what's the first picture on it? Okay, this one. Reconciling data that are seemingly contradictory to higher dimensional slash. This was supposed to be a video a long time ago. Sorry. So for those who are interested in scaling and defending pre-redraw ninja arcs, well, I do believe that the dimensional slash still should be the same as the pre-redraw ones, considering he still has it in the redraw. You can also just argue that the abilities don't change in the retcon versions. I mean, look at what was his name again? I have. Wait, let me check. Yeah, yeah. I was saying I have Saitama at multi-galaxy level, as in low ball, and at Universal Plus at a high ball. So for those who are still interested in scaling and defending pre-redraw ninja chapters, this will be an explanation in attempts to reconcile why data are not contradictory but actually not were. First, we have to mention that it was stated repeatedly that without dimensional travel portals to another dimension, the higher dimensional slash cannot be dodged, or at least, I mean, not being able to dodge that is kind of depending on, it depends on the speed of the character. Blast will not Blast will not be able to dodge it. It was also one of stated that nothing within the universe can. Yeah, this is one of the main reasons. But I don't think that their sensation is, related to the higher dimensional, but more like intent killing. Like it's one of the intents. Characters were demonstrated to have time to observe the attack approaching them and even have time to react to the attack. Yeah, this is why I don't think that not being able to dodge that is on an outlier. It will depend on the speed. The attack only does mountain. No, okay, no, this is just wrong. It depends on the area empty void is attacking. Like if it shows an entire galaxy, then he can probably destroy that entire galaxy. Yeah, I'm still on Discord. I changed my tag. Let me just type it for you. So let's first unpack rather than first two claims are true and their implication. Yes, given that the visual important, it is very important that the characters will see the attack coming and then react surprised when it stopped. We know that time is not sufficient explanation for such a limitation. Yeah, because they don't really pay attention to other feeds. That's why most people have him at galaxy level, but realistically, he should be multi-galaxy at the minimum. The answer is in scalar, and the manga has alluded to repeatedly. The attack doesn't just cover distance in some amount of time; it covers an additional type of distance in some amount of time. Uh, to me, this is more like take a pencil, and I actually explained this in my own term in a video, I think, but it'll be the reason why this explanation character can attack covering distance. Yeah, this is also true. Yeah, now on this view, I think the sword is more like a pencil and the three dimension is like a paper. So when it depends on the perspective on the attack, like what empty word is targeting. By definition, if an attack were to traverse distance and approach you through a higher dimension, it does not matter how fast you move forwards, backwards, left or right, up, down, you moved in a fourth zero. So from the perspective of 4D entity, your movement is ultimately zero. Yeah, that's true. But Saitama is an exception considering yeah, this is the case. Like, it depends on the perspective of the character, or of the higher dimensional being. Like, if I just use a pencil or something and draw it on between the paper, then he can't dodge it because for me, his movements are zero. But say stationary from your perspective in the middle of screen, so you are outside the game can just reach out and touch the area in the screen. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I mean. Common confusion that power scalars are prone to is that the 4D yields infinite immeasurable speed. However, no, this is not the case. Yeah, it's the type of quality of the distance. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. This also reconciles why Flashy Flash and Blast can sense the attack coming because they are relative in speed with. Yeah, this is also the case. The reason why the attack causes minimal damage is because the tip of the blade is covering a small 3D area. Yeah, this is also the case. Basically, that again, that paper and pencil example I gave. Only Saitama is the exception to this because he does have four-dimensional feats. Yeah, this is pretty much I think as well. I think I did give explanation. Let me check. Your guts. By the way, what do you think of this? The solar system level Meliodas. What do you think about this meta of seven deadly sins? I don't think it's really solar system level. Let me check if I actually made that. Okay. Yeah, here it is. No, this is a different one. Damn, where the fuck did I explain about that? Okay, I don't think I explained it in post. I think it was a video because I can't seem to find it. Damn. The Power Sphere universe would naturally be universal in terms of cosmology. I don't remember any other parallel stuff about it because I never focused on the cosmology of that universe. So it's baseline universal. It's definitely Boros. Boros is on the top of my favorite One Punch Man characters list. I think this is the one. No. No, it's not in my post. I think it was a video. This is the one, I think.
For so long. It's because, as I mentioned, video still slash actually.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. Eevee's dimensional slash works like this. Like it's based on the area those orbs shows. I don't know about those power spheres, but I'm still like in the story arc where Bow Boy transforms into his story transformation. Solar plus Thorn. I'm still in that arc for now.
Works. Going to yes, it's an attack from
This is what I was talking about. Think of this as a paper and this slash as a pencil. Whatever you're seeing here can easily be, killed, cut, and whatever you want to say, because it depends on the perspective, like what we are seeing from this.
a hyperspace where Empty Void uses a 40 bubble to attack his targets. Number 2. Does Empty Void himself scales to this? No.
And now this is where I completely disagree with the scale. Like he does not scale to his uh, dimensional slash when it comes to those slashes itself. No, the slash itself is 4D. It's not 3D, it's still 4D. The dimensional slash is four dimensional when it comes to its quality. The issue is it's still in a 3D perspective, like whatever empty void is seeing through those bubbles, he can only attack that. In my opinion, the dimensional slash should be four-dimensional, considering it's from a hyperspace. That's why I think it's 4D. You can say it's 3D all you want, but in my personal opinion, it's at least four-dimensional. Why did you ask why?
He doesn't. It's a hacks, not an AP attack. This is shown multiple times that he used.
Yeah, that's the problem because let me rewind. This is the issue with his attack potency being that same level. Because what he sees in the bubble is what he attacks. So I don't think he naturally scales to the entire thing. I don't think he scales to whatever he attacks when it comes down to, the what's bubble showing. Like for example, in this area, it's showing only Flash and Sonic, but in this, it's showing the entire land of. I mean, if you want, yeah, you can argue that he kind of upscales to four-dimensional using, because he can enter the hyperspace. But I don't think that's near really the case, in my personal opinion. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Using his hacks, he can like attack anything within the universe, or whatever he's seeing through those bubbles. But he generally doesn't himself scales to it. I mean, if you want to argue that he's 4D himself and you scales to everything he does through those bubbles, then I'd want to say that it's wrong. You can actually argue that, but in my personal opinion, that's not the case. But regardless of it, it does upscale Saitama because the attack is still 4D. AP is more of an attack potency, but it depends on the dimensionality of the attack. This was my interpretation of the One Punch Man cosmology back in 2025 or 2024, I think. I considered the entire universe to be at least 5D, and I still do. That's more of a drip sauce argument, and I don't actually buy into that. For you to actually scale to a higher dimension, you actually have to be, transcend to that dimension as well. I don't, yeah, so I kind of think this myself now, but then again, I used to think the bubbles are not universes, but part of the universes it shows. Basically, what N2 said is what I am actually talking about. I have them in 4D as well. They are literally within the hyperspace and shows the 3D universe in a more, small. Which post did you explain that? The multiverse evidence of arguments. Like, which one of is it? Okay, I think this is the one. It was stated that Blast was using a portal that leads to another dimension. When he goes through the portal, we observe a seemingly universe-level dimension with a multiplicity of galaxy stars. Prior to Garo gaining his cosmic powers, he shared to Blast, who was stated to be in another dimension. In this most recent chapter, we see that Blast and Navigator stated as the gap space. Let's Farag if time travel to the past occurred, what would happen? The time travel grandfather paradox. If you travel to the past and alive your grandfather before your father is born, this changes in the past. Yeah, this is it. Which will create a new universe and a separate timeline in which you were born, in one you are not born. From what I remember, I explained it. This is the multiverse MWI type 1, many worlds interpretation. That has three types, actually four types, and it's type 1. The One Punch Man followed the type 1 of that. Yo, Al Siyad. Or Al Said. Al Said, I think Al Said. The course still persists in this timeline, however, the future was erased, the turn of events that caused the core of the timeline. I don't think the future timeline was erased. It still exists, but it became another separate timeline. And Saitama like came back in the past and punched Garo, like, you know, separating the cosmic power from him. It shifted into two different timelines. Heck, we even see Garo from the future later on. Yeah, exactly. The core wouldn't exist if the future timeline was erased, meaning the timeline does exist and it'll. Yeah, this is exactly the case. Pre the pre-Redraw chapters most likely don't really. Yeah, there are multiple timelines. As far as I was saying, the pre-Redraw chapters are most likely just story changes, but the character's ability and the plot itself, I don't think it doesn't change that much. For example, take Empty Void and Phoenix Man. Just the story changed, like how they were shown and presented, but their abilities were not. Yeah, pretty much. The multiverse is definitely exists in the One Punch Man. There's no denying that. Only issue I have with this is this one. Like, I don't think this is necessarily a different dimension, but like, he just teleported to somewhere else. Like, for example, to Empty Void, it was absorbing Cosmic Garo's power from another place. But you can argue this is a different dimension. It depends on what you view it as. I personally think this is just him going to another place in the universe. But if you want to argue that it can be a different dimension as a whole, then I won't argue against that. But if we, yeah, that's the thing. It's not studied in a different dimension. But if you want to argue this is a completely different universe, then I don't think it will be a stretch to say. And if we take this, then those can be universes, and those small stars we are saying are just further away universes. It is arguable, but I don't think it's will be accurate. By the way, Guts, where do you scale Boros and Cosmic Garo before he copied Saitama's serious mode? This is exactly what I'm talking about. If it was stated to be a different dimension, then it can be considered a different, like different space time or so, whatever you want to argue with it. The problem with my the problem on PC is that I can't completely see the picture. This is a huge issue that YouTube has to fix. So this is One, two, three, and arguably four. If it's not this one, then it's arguably four, meaning there are at least four different dimensions within a universe. Do you actually agree with outraversal scaling of One Punch Man, which Void somehow scales to it outraversal? I don't actually buy into that. Yo, Guts, I think we should, collab on the cosmology of One Punch Man if you ever got time on it. Right now, I'm also just working on the one Seven Deadly Sins versus Naruto video, so I don't think I will be free right now. Yeah, Outer Opium is like Void Extension is the only person I have seen that literally scales One Punch Man to Outer. The other guy is the Cosmic Drifter, but I don't think he scales the cosmology to Outer, but rather the characters above logic and stuff. I did see a post where he disagreed with universal scaling. I mean, it won't be logical considering hyperspace exists within the One Punch Man. You can actually argue for a 6D One Punch Man universe. You can just argue that God, the dimension of God, which God exists, is just higher than the hyperspace empty void entered. Because Blast literally stated that. Let me show you. You have to scroll down again. Basically, Blast stated that the dimension empty void enters is just one of the many different planes of existence of God. He said something like that. Let me check. Fuck it. I have to go back down again. Yeah, as for I'm not saying you have to do it right now. Whenever you're free, you can just tag me up in Movix server or like DM me in on Discord. We can just talk it out. I'm not saying it's 100% true, accurate. I'm just saying it can be arguable if you take his words. Where do I? Let me check that statement first. I think he said something. Yeah, here it is. It comes from God's higher plane, striking regardless of the target distance, energy, or size. It Doesn't say it comes from the exact same dimension of God, but rather God's higher plane, implying that there could be another higher dimension. But I don't think that's necessarily true, but you can argue for it. That's what I'm saying. He did say that it's one of God's powers, it comes from God's higher plane. And this is supposedly the official translation because at the time I was having a argument against why give up 11, and he used this. I don't think this part, oh, actually, never mind, this part was retconned as well. But it doesn't necessarily change anything because the abilities are still the same. Like, take Phoenix Void, for example. He was retconned, but his abilities were still the same. Empty Void was also retconned, but he still has his dimensional slash. We did saw him coming through a different portal, so I don't think it's really a stretch to say that they still retain their original abilities from the previous retcon versions. So far, there are 4 different dimensions within the One Punch Man universe. There's also the multiverse. Then there is the bubble dimension, the hyperspace. Yeah, this is definitely better than with my opinion. You Guts, if you're still here, but tell me, what do you think of that seven deadly solar system level meta? Because I still don't buy into that. Yeah, I'm not saying it objectively is a higher dimension than even the before, but it can be. I actually have to end the stream because I have to go and pray. My dad is telling. I think you all heard my dad, so I have to go. I'll see you all on the next stream. This was a really short stream and it was supposed to be a test stream. So goodbye all. Thanks for watching the video stream.